This lesson is on functions. It's a relatively short lesson. So what is a function? From Wikipedia, in mathematics, a function is a relation between a set of inputs and a set of permissible outputs with the property that each input is related to exactly one output. A function can be represented as just an equation with variables representing the inputs and outputs, and or in a graph. So basically what a function is, it is when you put something into an equation, only one value will come out as another variable in the equation. If you put one thing in the equation as a value, say for x, and for y you get two potential values, which is possible, that is not a function anymore, because it needs to represent something in reality. And pretty much always in reality, if you put one thing in for time, say, you can only be at one location in time. You can't be at two locations in time. If you buy one orange, it will be one price, one specific price, not two different prices. So for example, the equation y equals 2x is a function. If the input is x equals 1, the output is y equals 2. If the input is x equals 2, the output is y equals 4, etc. For every one value of x, there's only one value of y. One orange is $2, two oranges is $4, etc. One input and one output makes this relationship between x and y a function. Y equals 2x can also be shown as the below graph. So you can see this red line here. That's y equals 2x. A y-intercept of 0, a slope of 2. If that's not making much sense to you right now, if you haven't done that before, we will do that in detail in a later lesson. Or at least recap it. So note that for any x value, there's only one corresponding y value. So for this x value of -2, the y value is -4. For this x value of -1, the y value is -2. There is only one y value for any x value on this line, no matter what point you pick. So again, this is what makes a function representative of reality and thus useful to us. If the x values represent time and the y values represent distance at any point in time, you can only be at one point in space. For any given quantity of oranges, there can only be one price, etc., etc. So the vertical line test is a very simple test to check if a graph is a function or not. If you can draw a vertical line anywhere on the graph and it intersects the graph of the line or curve at two or more places, this means the graph is not a function. So that is what the vertical line test is. You literally draw vertical lines, and if at any place you can draw a vertical line and it intersects that graph in more than two places, that means it is not a function. So the vertical line test basically tells you, look at where my cursor is here, if for one value of x there are two or more corresponding y values. So if you drew a vertical line, and so the vertical line is representing a value of x and then it's intersecting at more than one point on the line, that means there's more than one possible value of y. And therefore it would not correspond to a function. So as can be seen on the graph shown here, no matter where you draw that vertical line, it only intersects the graph one time, which means this is a function. Let's look at some examples. Example 1, is the below graph a function? Yes, this is a function, since no matter where a vertical line is drawn, it only intersects the graph at one location. So a vertical line over to the left there, a vertical line at the vertex there, and a vertical line here. So the only tricky part here was at that vertex, but at that vertex the graph is only when it's in x value of 0, the y value is 0. The y value cannot be another y value. Example 2 is the below the graph of a function. I hope you said yes, this is a function, since no matter where you draw that vertical line, it only intersects that curve in one point. Example 3 is the below the graph of a function. And this is our first example where no, this is not a function, since if I draw a vertical line right there, right away I see that it intersects the curve at 2 points. So this is not a function. Example 4 is the below graph a function, and the answer again is no, since if I draw a vertical line right there, it actually intersects the curve at 3 places. So if it intersects at 2 or more places, that means it is not a function anywhere on the graph. If you drew your line over here, yeah, it only intersects once. If you drew your line over here, yes, it only intersects once, but that has to be the case everywhere. So you narrow in on points where, oh, it could intersect more than once, and then you've shown that it's not a function. Example 5 is the below the graph of a function. Yes, it is. So it's similar to an example a couple examples ago, except now I've only drawn the top half of that curve. And so as soon as I took away that bottom half, which caused it to cross this curve in more than 2 places, now it's only the top. So no matter where you draw a vertical line, it only intersects in one location. And that's the end of our lesson.